Welcome back everyone from the lunch. I think this will be the last session of the day. Thank you very much. Whoever is back, and inshallah the rest will join us. We have got a very important session, and of course the topic is in fashion and of course being discussed at length within the global Islamic banking and finance industry, and that is related to financial technology, fintech, and its governance. Before we begin the session, we do have three panelists and a chairperson. But before we begin the session, we have one of our guests, Dr. Ahmed Sheikh Abdul Latif from Kenya, who he works for Kenya Commercial Bank, which is an Islamic finance window known as Sahel. He's also a lecturer at University of Nairobi, a public university. He would like to read out a poetry about Islamic finance industry. So it will be in Arabic. If you would like to grab the translation kit, please do it from outside. Inshallah, in my experience, this is probably the first time I will hear a poetry about Islamic banking and finance industry. So I invite Dr. Ahmed, please join me on the stage, and please share with us what you have written. Thank you very much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أولا نشكر منظم هذا المؤتمر وعلى رأسهم شركة أيوفي لإتاحتنا هذه الفرصة. وقد أحببت أن ألقي على مسامعكم كلمات من الشعر التي تتعلق بالبنوك الإسلامية. فقد محاولة قد تكون ناجحة وقد تكون غير ناجحة، فإن شاء الله تعالى إذا أصبت قولوا جزاك الله خير، وإذا لم أصب أو وإذا لم أنجح قولوا إن شاء الله تعالى سوف يتدارك. قصيدة بمناسبة انعقاد مؤتمر الأيوفي للبنوك الإسلامية. قلت: أمصارف الإسلام أنت جئتنا، وعقودك على الأموال حسنها، فأنت الذي غيبت عن أنظارنا وأموالنا لمذمومة عقودها، فصيانة لعقودنا وأفرادنا وحق لها للعالمين فخارها، وضوابط للبائع والمشتري تبنى على سلع يراد بيعها، وبموجب من شريعة أحكامها. من ربنا المولى تكفل حفظها، فمشارك ومرابح يتلمس ربحا حلالا طيبا من عقودها، فعميلك يأبى الربا ومضانها، وفوائد قليلها وكثيرها. عليكم بني الإسلام نحوها، تنمي لكم أموالكم مع حفظها، ومسائل كثيرها معروفة، وجهود كل عالم من قياسها عجزت كلا وما عجز معينها، حتى دوام الأرض مع سمائها. فيقول من لا عبرة بكلامه لا فرق بينها وبين قديمها، شهد العدو قبل الصديق صدقها وانتشارها وترهيبها في أرضها. فهي مطالب كل ما تبغونه من عقودكم مضبوطة ترضونها، كم أصلحت ما أفسدت مصارف، تجري على غير وفق نصوصها، كم غيرت حال ضعيف حاجة فغدا غنيا فرحا بنمائها، لا تثقل كهل العميل مرابحا حتى ولو طالت هذا سنينها. لا تثقل كهل العميل مرابحا حتى ولو طالت هذا سنينها، تتقدم كل زمان بتفوق، ونوافذ تتحول كبنوكها، تتقدم رغم تشويش مشوش، وتساند المجامع ندواتها، فشكراننا لأيوفها وبنوكها كذلك جميع هيئات إسلامها، فشكرا لبحريننا ومليكها يحفظها ربي برها مع بهرها. هذا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. And inshallah, the recording will be available on YouTube at least. And whoever wish to go and translate, I think that will be very helpful. And inshallah, we can hear that later on to develop on it further. Now, we've got the last session of the day and last session of the conference. And alhamdulillah, we have a great turnout so far. Can I just request the colleagues to please, who are sitting at the back, to come forward a little bit, just to occupy the red chairs at least a little bit. The session is about emerging financial technologies, opportunities and governance. And to moderate the panel, we have Mr. Ashar Nazim, CEO of Aeon Digital. I request Brother Ashar to please join me on the stage. Can I also request the fellow panelists, Dr. Ahmed Al-Bayrak, member AAOIFI Governance and Ethics Board, Deputy CEO of Kuwait Turk Participation Bank in Turkey, Mr. Shahir Abbas, co-founder IFIN Islamic Financial Services, as well as co-founder of IFAS, Brother Umar Munshi, CEO of Ethis. Please join me. Thank you very much for coming all the way and join us on the stage. Thank you very much. We have about an hour, inshallah. And we hope we can take some questions towards the end, inshallah. So I hand it over to you, Brother Ashar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If it's all right with you, I'll just stand here. Nahmaduhu nusalli ala rasulil kareem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Indeed, our pleasure to be here. I'm delighted to have a very esteemed panel. And the reflection will be on financial technologies and the opportunities they offer and the governance they require. What we'll do is we'll have two segments. Maybe the first segment will be more about setting the scene in terms of what is happening in technology-enabled businesses and the experience of our esteemed panelists in different markets. And the second segment will be about, okay, so in terms of governance and Sharia compliance, are there themes out there that we need to look out for and start working on? Financial technology or fintech enabled businesses is where Islamic banking was about 20 years back. And again, we were think tanks at that time. We were beginning to think in terms of the form and the shape and the structure the industry should be taking. 20 years later, we are at another crossroad where financial technology-enabled businesses are taking over. Let me share with you some of the data points and some thinking points to set the scene before I turn to my panelists. So, fintech or financial technology-enabled businesses have come in all forms and sizes, right? So there are a number of B2B players, business-to-business players out there. There are a number of B2C players serving customers, be it consumers or SMEs, corporates, governments, whichever, but B2C category. And then there are infrastructure players. For the purpose of this session, we are going to talk about primarily the B2C segment, right? How financial technology or fintech businesses are serving the market at large and what are the opportunities and risks there. So that's one. Second is, what I want to highlight is some data points. Where do we stand? Okay, so what defines technology-enabled businesses? After all, technology has been there throughout, right? So here when we talk about financial technologies, we talk about exponential technologies that are shaping and disrupting business models at speed of light. Big time, right? So if we still want our careers to be relevant in 3 years' time, we absolutely need to know a few things about fintech. What are those technologies? Those technologies are starting with as simple as mobile. Any services being delivered on mobile. It's about platform economy. What does platform means? Platform means the ability to offer multiple service provider offerings through one single channel. The ecosystem play. It is about artificial intelligence. it is about cloud, it is about blockchain, right? And I will not even go to the new frontiers which are now emerging, such as digital assets, such as cryptos, and such as Meta, as well as understanding where our future customers are to be found. For example, Gen Zs are big on gaming industry, right? A massive gaming industry is massive. Metaverse is emerging to be a massive economy, right? I mean, so that is again the next frontier that is emerging. So just in terms of some data points that how this industry is doing, in terms of transaction volumes being done by fintechs across OIC countries through fintech businesses, the market size is roughly around 1995 billion USD. So transactions being conducted via fintech businesses across OIC markets stand roughly around 1995 billion USD. They are growing roughly at the range of between 18 to 22%. And by 2026, we expect this to be a number closer to about 200 billion USD. So again, the kind of growth we saw in early days of Islamic finance. Some of the key B2C fintech businesses are crowdfunding and marketplaces, offering alternate finance, are open banking players who are coming big time into the market, and all that has implications for both the Islamic finance business model as well as as well as the consumers and the customers that we are serving. And just before entering into the panel discussion, the three themes that I would like to put on the table for your thinking, and we'd love to have your views later on as well, is as a result of fintech businesses, there are three clear phenomena emerging that require our attention. What are those three phenomena? Number one, the supply of risk capital is increasing. Now, if you think about it, for a very long time, the entire industry's balance sheet was 80%, 85% mostly about muraba, and the entire discussion was how can we move towards more authentic, more preferred Islamic modes of financing, right? Now what we are saying is, as a result of these technology-enabled businesses, the supply of risk capital is increasing, which means a lot of investors, be it institutions or individuals, are more willing to provide equity, mudaraba, mushara kind of a structure. And on the other side as well, this is being offered to the market on other modes other than muraba, so primarily mudaraba and musharaka as well. So wow, the dream that was always there, how do we move towards more preferred mode of Islamic financing, is in a very small sense happening. The supply of risk capital to the industry is increasing, number one. Number two, fintechs are bridging the disconnect between the real economy and the financial economy, and that was the essence of Islamic finance. And why is that so? It is because of two things. One is the money is now more portable. You are able to move money more easily across institutions and across markets, number one. Number two is there is more transparency and insights into how your money is being used by the financial institutions that you are banking with. And what that means is, if you are not comfortable that the money that is being managed is not aligned with your financial values, it's a lot easier to move that money around. And therefore, you can actually influence Islamic banks. So, for example, to move away from just parking their entire balance sheet into real estate or international economies or other dead assets, to more productive sectors of the economy, like affordable mortgages, like industrial investment, and like venture capital and so forth. So that's number two. So fintechs have the ability to bridge the disconnect between real and financial economy, and we are seeing a very small but a very promising, authentic beginning there. And number three is around open banking. What is open banking? Open banking is allowing, with the regulations out there, and Bahrain, of course, is already there, and Saudi has just announced regulations as well. Malaysia is there as well. So what open banking does is, it makes it mandatory for banks to open up the data tap of their customer and let the data flow out to other licensed third-party fintechs which are coming up. right? And the regulators are doing it because what they're saying is, banks, you're too lazy. This data needs to flow out. There are a lot more entrepreneurial, innovative players out there who can put better use to this data. But what is the Islamic angle or Islamic finance angle to it? I leave a thought with you. As a result of open banking and as a result of data flowing out, as a bank, as a Sharia committee, you will now have access to a lot more data about your customers flowing in from multiple sources in real time. So let me give you a scenario. You will be able to tell that, this segment of your customer, retail customer, let's say Gen Z or whatever, right, is maybe spending a lot of card transactions in certain activities which are not aligned to Islamic finance, be it Marlboro Light or be it, whatever activity, right? I mean, casinos, whatever. Now the question is, till yesterday, you did not have this data coming to you in real time from multiple sources, right? Now it is. So as a bank, what kind of responsibility do you have? Are you still going to continue to serve that segment of the market? Or are you going to have a relook at your business strategy? And the Sharia scholars and the product specialists have a huge responsibility here, because now they have that data. So open banking has serious implications on how we help move institutions towards being more Sharia compliant. So with that preamble, let me start with our panelists, and I'll turn to Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed, it will be great to hear from you from Kuwait Turk perspective in terms of what has worked well, not well, from a fintech proposition angle for Kuwait Turk. How's Kuwait Turk doing when it comes to fintech ecosystem?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Actually, we are doing well, but we can be better. I believe that, the notion of disruption did not reach to financial institutions yet. That's why AAOIFI Secretariat put this panel to the last one, as last one. So, but in 10 years from now on, I believe that our total organization in IFIs or any IFIs will totally be changing. If any executives, banking executives is going to be here, I can foresee that maybe half of the seats will be empty, because it's going to be reorganized and no need maybe those seats. So maybe I cannot be in the banking industry after 10 years time now, but I am suggesting my colleagues, if you are going to leave the bank for their career, don't go to another bank. Just establish your business, your fintech. So this is how I am thinking and how I am looking at the things. Actually, since the digitalization became a buzzword for financial institutions, what we did, we immediately tried to integrate with the startup ecosystem, because fintech is also coming from that, and we initiated and established our own incubation academy. Over there, we are providing support, financial support, mentorship, and training. Who would like to create a new new company, and turn their idea to a real benefit for the society. Actually, then we established our venture capital fund, managed by our portfolio management company, and then we found out that there are really good ones working with us, or we are just just throwing the ecosystem, they are becoming very, very successful. I would, give that. Now, and also, as you said, we have the platform. Our banking infrastructure is allowing now us to work as a open banking platform. So right now we approximately 120 APIs embedded in our core banking system, and also we work with approximately 42 startups.
Wow.
And 21 of them is fintechs, wow, by the way, and we are sharing our APIs. And also, we are working with the, very big, successful fintechs. For instance, Papara in Turkey, having 14 million customers. They are basically providing digital wallet services and the prepaid card services, that type of very basic thing. But since they are giving some cashbacks as a reward to their customers, so they attracted so many good customers. So name of the game is changing. Now, in Turkish banking industry, Turkish banks is not opening new branches. Instead, they are just trying to strengthen their core banking system so that they are trying to become a platform banks or service bank, so that instead of their physical branches, they will commission their fintech surrounding them.
Wow.
So Turkey is going there,
right.
And as a leader of Islamic Bank, Kuwait Türk, and also 10th largest bank of Turkey, I can see the same traits with the in tier 1 banks. Definitely we are going there.
Wow. So collaborating with 21 fintechs, I do not know of many banks who are collaborating with this extent of fintech, so this is definitely...
Now, for instance, 7 days and 24 hours up to certain limit, Turkish lira transfers is available through the whole banking system. Maybe this is a standard in GCC, but I don't know.
Right.
But it's very standard now.
And which technology or which business model has been the most disruptive, most rewarding, which you think could not have been done just by Kuwait Turk alone? You had to partner and it has given you great results.
That's a very good question. Regarding blockchain technology, we are far behind the ecosystems, international ecosystems. And using blockchain technology, I think we can solve a lot of, for instance, custody services issues regarding exchange banks, for instance, keeping skooks, keeping golds, keeping some stocks. That we can easily solve it. For instance, Istanbul Borsa and Takas Bank is working on it right now.
Right.
And blockchain is one of the technology maybe we can name here. Can be collaboratively, enhanced and developed.
No, this is very helpful. Set the context very nicely. Let me go to Shahir now. Shahir, you've been an entrepreneur, I think, from the time you were born, right? So as long as I've known you, mashallah, have been doing a few new things every few years. Help me understand what is happening right now. Where are you seeing some good successes? What is not working out? Does the Islamic finance industry need to wake up? Are they doing well?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you everyone for the opportunity and for staying with us this late at the last day of the conference. Actually, what I would like to highlight from this angle is that at this time in our history, in these days, we have an opportunity that is presented to us that has never happened before in the human history, not only in the Islamic history, in the human history. There was no chance before for someone to build a company and go a multinational company within a couple of years. This has never happened before. Before, if you want to build a global company, you need at least 30, 40 years. You need to establish, you need to build it, you need to have capital, you need to do that. If you want to build $1 billion company now, it's a 3-4 years project. This has never happened before. So what fintech is giving us, this fourth industrial revolution, whatever you want to call it, has made it available for a simple man, a student, maybe 17, 18, 19 years old, in his garage, to get an idea, build it, and in 5 years' time, he's gonna sell it for $1 billion. And he can continue if he wants to do that. This, in human history, has never happened before. So you can imagine the opportunity. You can imagine how many ideas you can create. You can imagine how many impactful company you can create.
What is IFIN doing right now?
Right. So what IFIN is doing, if you think of IFIN, which is a platform that connects banks to retailers, right?
It connects banks to retailers.
Retailers,
okay.
to allow customer to obtain instant finance while they are at the retailer store.
Okay.
If you think about Islamic finance industry,
so BNPL type?
BNPL type, second generation.
Okay.
So it's not much more than BNPL.
Right.
BNPL is a company that they provide their own finance, their own money in a digital way. We allow the customer to choose any bank who actually on our platform and get instant finance from that bank while he's at the retailer store. So think about Islamic banking now. For the last 70 years, we're playing catch up with conventional banks. With IFIN, we have created a platform for the first time ever. We are ahead of conventional banks. We have something that conventional bank doesn't have. We have created a platform that doesn't exist in the US. It doesn't exist in the UK, in the conventional banking. And we implementing it here in the GCC. We went live in Oman.
So why
we went
should it
live
matter?
in Turkey with Kuwait Turk. And I have to say, Brother Ahmed, he has done a marvel job of thinking out of the box at the bank and see the opportunity and help us actually to connect to Kuwait Turk. And we're going live next week, inshallah, with Kuwait Turk. And we're going to change everything about buying and selling in Turkey with this process. Right. It's a completely change.
Why should it matter?
It should matter because now we are bringing Islamic finance to everyone at their fingertip.
So is it consumption debt that you are facilitating?
No, what we're making the opportunity available for every Muslim who wants to do it Islamically, and even non-Muslim who is looking for the best process and the best price. Our biggest problem with Islamic banking before is that we are so complicated business, it's terrible customer service, and we are on the top end of the pricing. This we're gonna change. We're gonna be the best service provider, and we're gonna be the best price. Right. And this we're gonna get to every single person, Muslim or not Muslim, they will be able to buy. So you get to serve everyone in the best solution.
How was the journey? Walk in the park?
Very difficult. It's not about the technology. You see, the biggest problem is that you need people and the bankers specifically to think differently. What's going to happen now, most of the banks, they know digital, they want to do digital, but they would want to do it in their own way. So he think, I want to stay to compete in the same way, but in a digital way, which is not the future. They cannot read probably the future and see that your function as a bank has changed. The mentality of the customer has changed. How easy it is I am now to move from one bank to another bank has changed. And they don't see that. So they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on building their own capability on the digital, but this is not going to change anything for him because everybody is doing the same. So you're moving from competing in the physical place to compete in the digital place, but your own way. And if you don't change the channel itself, you're never going to change the competition. What we did in Oman, we offered the smallest banks in Oman to become the biggest banks in the country if they use it properly. Right? So this is the way you can be a small bank. In a few years, you can be the biggest bank in the country.
And I believe the underlying technology, the exponential technology that you are talking about is platform.
It's a platform.
One, which is, i.e., an ecosystem you're bringing together. Right?
Exactly.
So a lot of integrations, a lot of connectivity. Yeah?
Exactly. So, for example, now we're talking to companies in Saudi, finance company. A zero digital company, they do everything paperwork. They can go from zero digital to a full digital finance companies in 8 weeks.
Right.
So that's a massive change.
Right.
They have to do this before they have to put at least $2-3 million.
Will that-
and they have 2-3 years of work.
Will that, as a result of this collaboration with Kuwait Turk, will that help reduce the intermediation risk and the intermediation cost, or not?
It will. It will.
Will you
because
pass it on to the consumer?
Absolutely. If the module is successful and the bank is receiving a lot of new customers, a lot of transactions, and we're talking, moving from simply, processing 100, 200 applications a day to processing 5,000 applications a day. That, on the scalability, it's going to make it much cheaper for the banks to book, to credit score and to create the asset.
Great. I'll come back to you, Shahir. Moving on to Brother Umar, or Bro Umar, right? So welcome to Bahrain. You were one of the first people to get started with Islamic crowdfunding platform with an impact mission, right? How's the journey so far? Talk to us a little bit about what your business is. How has it disrupted that segment of the market?
All right, thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Well, to touch or reflect on our journey and to add on also to some of the amazing points that have been shared today. For us, for Ethis, we've had a very long journey, I guess, and it's still in the early stage, I would say, in our journey. We've been around for 9 years now. So in startup years, we are very old. But because we started a little bit ahead of the curve, it was quite tough at the beginning. Now, what we do, and maybe I'll talk about it at the fundamental level. What we do is we match funds, we match investors, right? We match funders, any kind of funder, a normal, ordinary individual or an institution, directly to businesses, companies, and opportunities. Right? That's what crowdfunding or more.
And this is debt or equity or hybrid?
It's both.
Okay.
It can be both. It can be basically anything in between. Right? So here, what I want to share with everybody here is something that has brought us this far. What has motivated us is from the very beginning, the trigger or the inspiration for the business is Islamic finance itself. We started doing this because in Singapore, where we started, there was no Islamic finance. And, I started learning the theory of Islamic finance, and I realized that crowdfunding is probably the best way, not the only way, but probably the best way to do true Islamic finance. When I say true, what I mean by true is direct investments and direct funding, from funds to projects, from people to companies, right? And Alhamdulillah, the opportunity here that I want to stress on, that we firmly believe in, is that there's so much value and wisdom in Islamic finance for humanity, and a lot of it is in research papers, in universities, and they have not seen the light of day because we are constrained by traditional finance or banking. But with fintech and specifically crowdfunding platforms, that's where this wisdom can come out and literally change the world. And it sounds great, it's not easy, right? We've had a difficult journey. But in the past few years, with the tragic pandemic and so on, the impetus for change has become much stronger, right? And change is happening faster and faster. And that's where Islamic finance now has an opportunity, when you talk about leading, right, earlier, the opportunity to lead and manifest a new form of finance that is better and better from all aspects. Yeah. Right. So that's that's a little bit I guess it's more fundamental. But in practical application, let me give you an example, right? Because that was a bit of a high-level elaboration of what we do. What we do is we match money to projects, money to companies, right? So, for example, last week, our platform in Malaysia, which is an equity platform, we matched a an ibadah app, a really brilliant ibadah app. If you want to check it out, you can search for it. It's called The Nur. And they had gone to VCs, and VCs were having all kinds of terms that were quite punitive. And then they came to us and we said, let us raise for you. And 500 people from around the world invested in the Nur. And they empowered a powerful Islamic Ibadah lifestyle app to have enough funds to go to another level. In the past, how do you get 500 people to invest in you? Right? How do you get people from 15 countries to invest in you? So it's a new business model that unlocks potentially the wisdom of Islamic finance and unlocks access and opportunities both sides.
And share with us some stats. How much funding has been done through your platform? How many investors there are, if you can share?
Sure. We have been, as I mentioned, running for many years, but only in the last 2 years we started to grow quite significantly. Right? Licenses, regulations took a long time. So in the past 2 years, we've raised about $20 plus million from about 20,000 individuals. Interestingly, right now, most of the funding growth is coming from institutions. So in Indonesia, banks are investing through our platform to access customers that cannot or do not want to access directly.
So it's not just the person with $100, it's institutions actually.
Correct, yeah. The biggest growth is from institutions. And interestingly, the biggest growth in terms of retail or individual investors is from the GCC, right. Specifically from Saudi, right. Investing in Indonesia, in Malaysia.
Right.
Yeah.
So, of course, like last night I picked up a post on LinkedIn from you where you had put on a Huwat slide and had said that this needs to be understood better. This is massive. You see similarities of where Huwat can take advantage of the platform, the crowdfunding platform approach?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything that Huwat has done, and it's incredible. It's many years of, I'm sure, a lot of effort, a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulty, mashallah. So that, I guess that wisdom and that expertise and that knowledge can be, in a sense, codified and localized and implemented in many countries. And the fastest way to get there is through fintech, through platforms. Right? Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much. And again, if you've got any questions, please feel free to send it in writing. Otherwise, in 15 minutes time, we will open the floor to take questions directly from the floor in 15 minutes time, if that's okay. So just to complete the round very quickly, coming back to Dr. Ahmed, right? If we set the context, fintech businesses are growing bottom up, not top down, which basically means it's not at government level, industrial financing level, etc. It is on masses level, it is on retail level primarily, it's on remittances level, etc. Right? And there's great potential. Why should it matter? Why should we be interested? Because it helps promote inclusive finance. It brings down significantly the understanding of risk that we have in terms of financing. It helps tremendously bring down cost of intermediation. Also, it helps reprioritize or channel funds to priority sectors of the econory. Dr. Ahmed, when you think about Turkey and when you think about MENA region or the OIC markets at large, what is your vision? And we don't have 10 years, 15 years, right? I mean, let's say in 3 years' time, where do you want to see the fintech ecosystem? Are there enough players? Is it still subscale? What needs to be done? What have you not been able to achieve that you want to achieve as an institution, as Kuwait Turk?
Okay. Thank you very much. According to a research, I think this is, I don't know, I think this is a legitimate number. Right now, is number of Islamic fintech, according to Kenan Selim, is the Republic of Turkey's finance office. There are more than 240 Islamic fintechs, startups, serving clients in more than 60 countries. Definitely is not enough. Actually, there is a potential here. And as you said, maybe we can add some more benefits to it. One of them, Brother Shahir just mentioned, You go any country, establishing a bank, I mean, using a bank as a platform, you can reach, customers over there. It's very easily. He says 8 weeks. This is enormous development. I mean, you did not, this is 34th year of my banking career, and you could not, consider this before. It's really amazing. So, and also you are solving a problem of the society, either, bringing inclusiveness or better service, or, increasing the awareness of Islamic banking, because Islamic banking known as bad quality customer service.
If I may interrupt, but in Turkey's example, right? Let's take Turkey's experience. Okay. You think banks have been a showstopper or an enabler for fintech businesses to really prop up? The challenge is, the fact is, the unsaid challenge is that bankers are old timers, right? Are old thinkers. They can't relate to the new ways of doing business. They are actually the hurdle. Is that true in Turkey as large?
Actually, as far as I may consider all the banks, big banks, I'm talking about tier 1 banks, consider these new concepts as social responsibility. So, and also government also sees that too. Right now, we are not really aware how disruptive they can be.
Right.
But now we are just supporting in our best effort, establishing incubation centers, giving them.
Is it enough, or can it be accelerated?
It could be accelerated. Definitely, we need a developed ecosystem.
Thank you. It's just helpful to understand this mindset that it can be accelerated, and so far this willingness is there. I think we'll go.
Yes.
Far. Shahir, in the interest of time, the criticism on these startup models is you are using banks as experiment grounds. Sorry. So I think that's the translation up. So, okay. So, again, the challenge is, guys, you are startups, you do not understand this is a regulated, complex industry. You can't mess around with our systems and money. You are new kids on the block. You are not mature enough to engage with banks. Have you made those mistakes?
Not mistakes. I think what we need to look at, bankers and banks, they are not the hurdles, if you want. It's the change. There is a change, and change is difficult, and that takes time. You need to convince people, you need to see it through, you need to convince the regulators, you need to convince every single department in the bank.
Right.
From legal department to compliance department to credit department, all of them, they have to be involved.
No, but
they have to see it.
Sorry, I'll go back to the question. The question is, the challenge on the startup is you guys are not mature enough to engage with banks.
See, there is 2 types of fintechs. There is enablers and there is the disruptive fintechs. When you are working as enablers like us, we understand the regulation, we understand the laws, and we work within that terms. So we are not changing.
But do you see that as a challenge overall?
It's always the challenge, because you have to meet the regulation. There is no way around it, right? So the regulators and the regulation and the way the bank is operating within the legal and compliance framework has to be compliant. What we made it easier for them, right? We standardized the process, we standardized everything. Whenever you want to create a new product, you want to extend to a new market, you want to go further, then it's much easier and faster for you as a bank to do that within this digital platform.
Good.
I would like to add that our banking supervisory boards is not allowing any disruptive fintechs yet. This is the fact, and also over there, because banks is carrying the responsibility of whole economy and intermediating. Disruption is not there yet.
Right. Disruption is not there yet. Umar, when are you going to be a unicorn? What is stopping you? What is stopping you? Who's stopping you?
You were saying earlier you saw my LinkedIn post. There's another post just today about this concept of unicorns versus camel startups. right? But I won't go too much into it now. But essentially, the world has changed. The startup world has changed, right? So I guess success is being a camel, not a unicorn anymore. What I mean by that is a business that's really resilient, that is able to bring change with or without a lot of funding. Okay, that's very critical. Back to your question, when are we going to be a unicorn or a camel? I guess timing is very critical, it's very key. We've spent, back to the point on regulations, we spent most of our history dealing with regulators. Right? And for me, as a disruptor kind of entrepreneur, it was a totally new thing. Alhamdulillah, we got good people on board. One thing I want to add to the earlier point, not yet addressing your question, is that regulators are so different. We've worked with 6 different regulators in different countries. They are all so different from each other.
So regulatory challenge, point taken. What will take you to 5x?
All right. What will take us to 5x, first of all, is, of course, mass adoption, right? There is a lot of inertia in terms of adoption from what we experience in the Muslim world. And that's across the board. Yeah. Across the board, from institutions to individuals.
Right.
We are curiosity, we are something interesting, but the participation takes time.
Very interesting, it takes me back 20 years when Islamic finance was just beginning to take off and we were dealt with similar issues like any other startup industry, right? Scale-up industry. So, and we see a lot of some very relevant, topics coming out, disruption not being there, regulatory issues, consumer literacy, right? The collaboration part. And I think these are some great takeaways. I think that is where we'll stop the first segment before we come to the governance part. Let me open it up for the floor to take a few questions, please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Abdurrahman Sheikh from Bank Nizwa, Oman. My question to Brother Umar Manshi, regarding crowdfunding, since you're an intermediary between investors and seed companies, let's say. How does the structure work? If I'm going to invest $1 million in a company and the company goes to loss, for example, will I get some of my capital back? Or no, there's a fixed income that I must be getting whether the company is losing or in profit? That's my question.
Thank you. I guess I'll answer in this way, where crowdfunding platforms enable many possible types of investments. It can be so-called fixed income with collateral. It can be direct equity participation with zero downside protection, meaning you can lose all your money. So whatever we can think of or conceptualize as an investment product that has a demand, that there is a demand in the market for, crowdfunding can do that, right? So back to your question, it depends on the product. So in Indonesia, we do lending or financing, short term, musyarakah, supply chain finance, right? So it's very clear what's the profit sharing ratio, what's the expected return. If the company closes down, you lose your money, right? But in Indonesia, there's compulsory insurance as well to protect customers. However, there's no takaful yet. So for the Islamic players like us, we don't really have that right now. Yeah. So it's very broad and it's very open. So it depends on the market and the approach of the platform.
So have you had a case where the entire capital was lost?
In terms of defaults, yes, there have been defaults and delays.
And the investors understood that very clearly, right? The risk.
Yes.
Right?
You have to diversify, right? If you have $1 million, don't put it into one company, put it into 10 companies.
Of course.
It is not guaranteed in principle, yeah.
Clear. We have a second question, please.
Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. My question is still to Omar, right? On this issue of crowdfunding. I'm talking from the regulatory lenses or from regulatory perspective. In Nigeria, we have a regulation on crowdfunding. But one issue that is really of concern to me as a regulator, we have this demand by some operators of crowdfunding for a kind of Islamic-based platform crowdfunding. And the question is there any specific issues based on your experience that as a regulator you need to really focus on to allow licensing of this kind of operators, i.e. to operate essentially a Sharia-compliant crowdfunding intermediary, for instance? What has been the experience? And what is really the issue of concern? Are there, like, for instance, specific Sharia issues that a regulator should be able to really insist on the platform provider, or a kind of disclosure or continuous disclosure requirement that we need to have? So I think I really need to get that one right, because it's something that we are trying to encourage. We have right now licensed 2 platforms, but for the conventional, essentially equity-based, debt-based, but I really wanted an insight from the panelists, especially Omar, if you can throw more light on that. Thank you.
All right.
I guess in summary, what are the Sharia compliance issues the regulator should be aware of for the crowdfunding platform?
Yeah, thank you. I guess my answer would be that there's actually a lot of opportunity and benefit in general. I know I'm not answering your question, but just to look, that's our experience in Malaysia and Indonesia. Because if it's conventional interest-based, consumers, investors, they have the mindset that is guaranteed and fixed. But when you're investing, back to the question of guarantee, if you're investing in real-world projects and companies, the risk is on the performance of the project and the company. If the company doesn't make it, if the project doesn't succeed, the interest is not there, right? So it is more accurate and more relevant for it to be participatory and for it to be, for example, a musharaka or mudaraba, or in whatever non-Arabic terms there may be, you know? Yeah.
Clear. We have a lady there with a question, please. Yeah, and then we'll move to the second segment very quickly.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
I just want to find out. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
From previous data, we observed that takaful is more like the weakest link in the financial services of Islamic finance. So I was just thinking, somebody said, a speaker earlier on said that insurance is not what you wake up and you want to do. I'm just thinking out loud, is there a way we can use technology to drive insurance and takaful specifically, so that we could deepen the people that are taking takaful? Is there anything in the pipeline, just like we have the fintech in the banking sector? Is there anything like that in takaful? Maybe that could help in deepening takaful, so that it can go from bottom to where it's supposed to be, because it's really heartbreaking that takaful is taking the rare space. Thank you.
Clear. So the question is there enough happening on Takatech, right? Takaful Tech, as it's called. Anyone wants to take it?
Yeah, we are working on a project for micro takaful, and the idea is to be able to use technology to reach out to most of the population.
Right.
You know, the Muslim population is the lowest insurance penetration in the entire world, and if you go to the GCC, it's even less than 1% in some countries. Where if you go to Europe, you're actually going to 27, 29%. So there's a massive opportunity within our So technology, yes, can be used, and we are working on
so your technology is coming to the takaful sector. It is slow, it is behind banking, and I think it will take time to mature.
Actually, I have a addition to that. Our subsidiary, takaful subsidiary, Neova, initiated, InsurTech in Germany, namely Takaful, and most probably they are going to work with the conventional, insurance companies, but developing a Islamic product with them, and serving European customers in Europe and also through our KT Bank AG, I mean German subsidiary.
Right.
So
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
No, this is really helpful. There are a few more questions, but I'll just hold on to those questions for a few minutes. We'll move very quickly in the interest of time to the second segment, which is around, as a result of these fintech business models, what are the governance implications? And I will start with, and again, we'll have some very brief stints at it. So I'll start with Dr. Ahmed. What is AAOIFI doing in the space of fintech governance?
Okay. Actually, I would like to say, Islamic crowdfunding finance can be a standalone organizational entity, but when considering IFIN and similar startups, as Brother Shahir mentioned, they are going through really governance check before embedding into core banking systems. So when a startup or fintech integrates with the bank, so they are getting benefit of the Islamic banks or IFI's governance. So when they integrate, so they are part of the governance system of the bank. But if we consider Islamic crowdfunding standalone, so we did not issue yet, but we are working on it. About to issuing Islamic crowdfunding finance standard coming soon. Over there, I'm not the real expert. Maybe AAOIFI should saying that. But as far as I can summarize, first of all, we would like to safeguard the whole stakeholders ecosystem, especially investors. And we would like to consider the size of the company, especially we are going through an operator, but even though we're gonna be standardizing the operators processes, right. We also consider each Islamic crowdfunding issuance. So
crowdfunding is top of priority, and AAOIFI is coming up with this.
Each issuance should be looked at inside, right. And understand the first of all due diligence, trustees, and their functionalities. Right. Their roles, and we are all trying to identify those.
Clear.
Yeah.
So that is so AAOIFI's main thrust is right now focus is on crowdfunding platform standards. Shahir, is there anything more you would like AAOIFI to be working on?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of things we can do. First of all, most of the new fintechs coming with the new ideas, coming with the new processes, which doesn't usually maybe or entirely fit with the normal standards of the Sharia compliance. Example, that's what we're doing in IFIN. In IFIN now, usually when you are a supplier and you're selling to the bank and then the bank selling to the customer. Now we do these things usually through Tawarruk and then you have a 10-second transaction. But when you do it in actual real physical laptop or a sofa or things, it will become more challenging. At which point the acquisition happen, right? Not the buying and selling. The buying and selling can happen, but then the scholars always, and this is a live debate with every Sharia board we go there. So at which point happens the acquisition? These type of things need to be standardized.
So you special cases like IFIN, for example, where it's about supply chain integration.
Exactly. So these type of things need to be looked at in takaful, in financing, in crowdfunding, all these types of things. Right. But the other part is the awareness of the fintechs themselves that they need standardization, they need the Sharia side. A lot of them, they're coming out and they say, okay, we are Sharia compliant, but in fact there was not enough check.
So there's huge opportunity.
Exactly.
In the interest of time, Umar, pushing the envelope, cryptos, metaverse, gaming industry, this is where Gen Zs, the future customers of the Islamic finance industry, are looking.
Yep.
Does AAOIFI need to look in that direction?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How?
I guess maybe one thing I can suggest is to have more engagement, and this engagement needs to be very purposeful.
Right.
And it needs to be engagement with disruptors. Because if not, the disruptors are just going to disrupt. Right? They may not care what the Islamic finance industry thinks. In fact, they may be against if they believe that the Islamic finance industry is not on the right track.
Are you hearing enough debates in different circles on these topics yet?
No, just Bitcoin halal or haram. But I mean, outside of that.
No, so and that's all right if it's considered haram, or it is haram.
Bitcoin?
No, so sorry, what did you say?
I said, I mean, the debates still revolve around whether Bitcoin is halal or haram,
okay,
right?
Okay.
But the debates should be deeper into the model itself,
digital assets,
the impact on society,
right.
The possibilities that are always changing, right? And if there's no engagement, then the industry will be blindsided. You know?
Do you agree that there has been an increase in the supply of risk capital as a result of fintech businesses?
Yes,
the industry?
yes. But that needs to also be balanced or managed to some extent, because there is a lot of risk capital moving, and sometimes the risk capital does disappear, right? So that can create a bad precedent or a sour taste in the mouth.
So the balance sheet structure you think will change for the industry overall? Or
yes,
not really?
Yes, definitely. I think it's really changing in the
fast
conventional.
Fast enough or just beginning to?
No, not fast enough.
Not fast enough.
And it will get faster. So the industry needs to be part of that change.
So that's theme number one. The supply of risk capital is increasing. It's still subscale. It needs to accelerate. Second theme to Shahir. The disconnect between real economy and the financial economy can be bridged using fintech business models. Why? Because money is now much more portable. Two, there's a lot more transparency and insights into how your money is being deployed by the financial institution that you're banking with, right? Is there enough governance, or should there be more governance for banks or financial institutions in general to actually share how the money of depositors or investors are being deployed? Should the industry move in that direction? Should AAOIFI be looking in that direction?
I think,
or is that extra overhead?
It will be. There is maybe too much confidential information which the bank might not want to go out.
Now, why is that? Because now with PFM, may I interrupt?
Yeah.
With PFM, you have categorization, right? Or BFM, business finance, you have categorization in terms of how the money is being spent. So you know very well which bank is heavy on mortgages versus which bank is heavy on startups and scale-up businesses versus which bank is parking its balance sheet in FI instruments and overseas real estate investments.
See, it's not that easy, because you're talking about categories, not products.
Right.
So I can have one product at home. Let's talk car finance. Car finance could be murabaha, could be leasing, could be something else, musharaka, right? It will be all reported under
So that transparency, etc., is not practical, is what you're saying.
And sometimes deliberately, because we do on the consultancy side, I would like to see, for example, where's the profitable part in that bank? Why this bank is doing very well? I need to understand. But when you go to their financials, you don't see this information.
But alternate finance providers are giving a lot of insights and transparency into how the money is being deployed.
I think this is a second stage, right? So what we want to concentrate on now, how to bring the real economy back to Islamic finance. This connection happened because of the use of tawarruk. When you use tawarruk, the customer, we don't know where the money gets going on, right? The customer asking for $10,000.
And the debate on tawarruk has been going on forever, so I will not get into that. But any chance of this bridging?
Exactly. But that's what when you remove tawarruk out of the equation, I will know, at least as a bank, that this customer has spent his money buying a furniture from this shop directly, right? So I spend my money buying a laptop. I spend my money. So you first, as a bank, will get this information in more concise, and then second stage, you will be able to disclose.
So I think what you are saying is too much to ask for of
They
banks.
don't have it. Technically, with tawarruk, when you have 97% of your
that
financing.
transparency in terms of how the deployment of money is happening.
What I'm saying is they don't know. The customer can't write anything on the application. If he's creditworthy, they will give him the money.
Okay, so
but
that
how they spend it, they don't know. Really.
Thank you. So that brings me to another interesting topic, open banking. With open banking, what you're going to see is how a customer is spending its money, right? For example, if there are transactions happening left, right, center, all that transaction data is coming to the bank in real time from multiple sources, and wearing your Sharia tech hat, you are able to understand how your customers are spending, and you find out that, you know what, it's either not in the priority segments or it is in the forbidden segments. Now you have that insight, or you have that access to that information. You think there should be a compulsion on Islamic banks to actually pull out of those segments, adjust their strategies accordingly?
Yes, this is a must. This is an cause of existence for Islamic banks. Actually, we cannot allow that kind of how to say easiness. Let me say this is our cause of existence. So I mean, we should be very careful about this. Sometimes we have to slow, but we have to definitely comply with the.
Has AAOIFI or any other standard-setting body been thinking, or have you heard of such debates? Anyone, in terms of, as a result of open banking and all this information that is coming to banks, Sharia tech, the pace at which it needs to respond is being stepped up.
Actually, for credit cards, for instance, we did it. We closed some of the items. If it's for instance, some food items, alcohol drinks, or something that if their barcode is coming, we are not allowing that transactions to be completed. I think this is similar thing.
It's similar, but the pace is increasing, maybe 50x.
Yes,
because real time,
that's
multiple
right.
Sources.
But our technology is advancing, brother. Sure. Yeah.
So Sharia departments are stepping up.
No. Okay. They are not aware as you did.
So it needs to be. So it's something work in progress and needs to be focused on.
Yes,
fair enough.
That's right. Thank you.
I think.
Sorry. On this side, I disagree of us monitoring how the customer is living his life. Okay. We if I am giving you, if you have your deposit
but
account,
that is the default model now.
Financing though.
Yeah, so
if you are financing,
yes. So you can by code by the code of the merchant, you can stop things. But if you're going to a supermarket, if I'm going to a supermarket and I buy alcohol with my grocery, how are you going to find out? You're never going to be able to find out. Even if you have more tick to the point that actually you're receiving every single item on the bill, I don't think we should do that even from a Sharia point of view.
But the world has changed. PFM is here.
Yes, I know, but
personal finance.
Why we should dictate how the customer should live his life, and I penalize him if he did a mistake? Maybe he did a mistake. Maybe he went there one day and then I stop his account, cancel
so
his
great
card.
debate. I leave it to the floor.
Exactly. So we have to be flexible ourselves. I don't want to dictate, and I don't want to be another industry working like mukhabarat.
I'm glad for the last 1 hour we are all awake. No, thank you so much. This is helpful. I'm conscious of the time. Are there any questions from the floor? There was a question from that end. Okay, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm Muhammad Rizki from University College of Bahrain. So my question to Mr. Umar Munshi. In one of your statements, you mentioned that in the past 2 years, it is growth mostly from the institutional investor in Indonesia. Right, as you know, the country is now as we're growing, and the government put more emphasis on the Islamic finance. So, in your opinion, what are the main reasons of the institutional investor start to put on trust on your company, especially to invest in your technology? Are they going to expand more to get the customer profile information, or what? Thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more question before we come to the answer. Please. Second last row, yeah. Please.
Thank you. This is Fazan. My question is for all the panel and all other here. Are we as a Muslim ready yet to adopt something in the fintech, as the fintech is an early basis changing into the technology, and the rightly word just use a Sharia tag? Still, we don't have a solution for not only crypto assets, so cryptocurrency separate crypto assets, and then NFTs, and these things are going up. As a Muslim, still if I'm asking and I don't have an answer, what we are thinking about a future of fintech or a iFintech to do with for a Muslim population and a Muslim society in the world? Because still as a bank, we are not bankers are not yet ready in Islamic Bank because we don't have a reply. And the industry is 4 or 5 steps ahead.
Thank you.
So why we are talking about a 5x and all this thing in iFintech? Thank you.
Great. So first question to Umar.
All right. So to quickly answer the first question, there were 2 factors. The banks are investing in the projects on our platform. That's the relationship. The triggers are firstly regulations. So as soon as the regulators gave us a permanent license, before that was a temporary license, that made the difference. And when they started investing in us, the regulators said, okay, hold on, we want to see how these 2 types of financial institutions work together. And then they approved it, and a lot more banks came forward, right? So that's the first thing. Secondly is just purely performance, right? The projects give good returns, low defaults, so the banks want to invest. I think that's basically the quick answer. And if I can jump to the second question.
Or if I can route the second question to Shahir.
Sure.
Awareness from a consumer and banker perspective. You see enough?
I think there is a lot of interest in it. It's still at early stage. I'm not worried about the number of fintechs and the Islamic fintechs and the Islamic tech that can come and they can produce new ideas and then to jump into that. I think it's going to happen. It's just natural thing. But it's a little bit too early because itself in the conventional space is not clear yet what is the added value it brings, whether it's going to be really successful or not. But we're going to get there at one point, right? It's just a matter of time.
Great, sir. Thank you. This is exciting, but I know we are out of time, so I'll just turn to one last question from each of the panelists. 30 seconds. Dr. Ahmed, in the next 1 year, my favorite question, right, typically. In the next 1 year, what is your personal commitment? How will you change Kuwait Turk to adopt fintech more aggressively?
Actually, I'm not, aggressive in person, so I'm not going to be aggressive anyway. But what we can do, those people and the energy is inspiring us that, we should invest more to ecosystem. And I believe, for instance, for myself, can be a duty, how I can establish a, Islamic fintech ecosystem in Istanbul. I'm just putting it in my, doing agenda.
Same question, Shahir. Next 12 months. You will be sitting on this
I am
podium
by nature
again.
aggressive. So we hope that with IFIN we will be able to launch, we are live in Oman and now in Turkey. In the next year, hopefully we're going to be live in Saudi, UAE, Malaysia, and Egypt, inshallah.
Wow. Inshallah. Looking forward. Umar, same question. Next 12 months,
Sure.
what is your ambition?
2 things. One is for Ethis to really grow and provide a lot more opportunities, a lot more access in different markets, new products, and so on. The second is, in doing so, we would like to inspire and encourage more entrepreneurship in Islamic finance.
Excellent.
Because that's really what's needed, inshallah.
Great, some great pointers from everyone. I personally take a lot of encouragement seeing how Kuwait Turk is collaborating with 21 plus fintechs and with this aspiration of Istanbul as the fintech hub of that region there. Shahir, with your multi-market approach and with that, I've seen you extremely persistent and mashallah coming to fruition with Kuwait Turk is really good to hear. Umar, again, a lot of people take a lot of inspiration from your success. We are looking forward to, again, some more food for thought from your end in terms of how to accelerate crowdfunding, marketplace concepts, both equity and debt. In the end, what I will say, sorry, we are out of time, but after the session, you will have access to the speakers. If I may conclude, in my view, again, we have a great opportunity, a great reset that is happening right now, where there is a great opportunity for Islamic finance to move towards the real spirit of Islamic finance, bridge the disconnect between the real and the financial economy using some of the exponential technologies. And for organizations like AAOIFI and other standard setting bodies, clearly the work is cut out. I've been involved with Umar on this crowdfunding platform paper as well. I think the need the ask from the industry is how can we accelerate? Of course, it's not an easy ask, but I think this is a very authentic opportunity to move towards what Islamic finance was always supposed to be. Thank you so much. Please give a loud applause of hand to our panelists. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just have a picture. Thank you very much, Brother Ashar, for concluding it very well, mashallah. I'm sure everyone agrees. It was an enlightening session and a much needed one as well. And inshallah, I set the tone for the discussions to take forward, inshallah, from here. The selfie is going on. I would like to thank my brothers here, Dr. Ahmed Birak, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Shahir Abbas, Brother Umar Munshi, and Brother Ashar Nazim for doing an excellent job, and thank you very much for being with us. Jazakumullah khair. I was not in this. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the close of the two-day AAOIFI-IsDB Annual Islamic Banking and Finance Conference. I do hope, like myself, you've enjoyed each and every panel, each and every speech, and each and every presentation that was shared by our experts, leaders from different parts of the world. And I hope that you've benefited immensely from this opportunity. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of AAOIFI and Islamic Development Bank to thank, first of all, of course, Islamic Development Bank itself for their support that comes for this conference, all our partners for this important conference, starting from major partner all the way to silver partner, gold partner, technology partners, knowledge partners, as well as media partners. Each and all of them have played an instrumental role in ensuring that this conference is a success. And I do hope, and I gauge this from the audience here for the last session on day 2, that we have around, if I'm not mistaken, around 200 people in the room as we speak. So this itself is a success of the conference. I would like to thank all our speakers who are leaders within their discipline, who have traveled far and wide. We had more than 35 speakers of high stature who joined us beside their busy schedule. On behalf of AAOIFI and IDB, I would like to thank all of them for joining us, sharing their knowledge, expertise with us at this important conference. I'd also like to thank all of you for staying with us, for traveling far and wide. AAOIFI actually applied for more than 200 visas for this conference, and we were lucky to get a lot of them, alhamdulillah. So thank you for joining us. I do hope that you found this conference of benefit. And in addition to the knowledge sharing that we had, I hope you had a good, productive networking opportunity as well, where you met a number of old friends, I'm sure, and made some new ones. We signed a number of MOUs at this conference over the last 2 days, and we do hope that we can develop on these MOUs and further our efforts for the development of Islamic banking and finance industry globally. So, I would like to thank, and perhaps maybe a round of applause for everyone who's been here by ourselves, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we had about more than 600 people over the last, on the first day, and about 300 people joined us on the second day. And a lot more joined us virtually as well. So at the end, I would like to thank the AAOIFI team as well. MashaAllah, each and every person within the AAOIFI team worked hard to ensure that this conference is a success. There is, I'm sure you're familiar, but a lot goes into putting together an important conference. But it wouldn't have been possible without your support, without your encouragement. And I would like to thank you all once again on behalf of AAOIFI and the Islamic Development Bank. Inshallah, we do hope that the relationships that we have developed here, we can take them further, inshallah. And if we at AAOIFI can be of any service within your country, within your institution, something that we can do together to further the cause of Islamic banking and finance for its development, please let us know. Please let us know. Please talk to us how we can work together. Inshallah, we are all ears and all open for any idea, for all ideas, inshallah. I thank you again, once again, for being with us. Thank you for coming. Inshallah, we look forward to seeing you again next year. Jazakumullah khair wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.